It's the super safe Swedish sedan that started on sedate suburban streets but sped its way straight to souped up sleeper status. It went from hauling the kids to hauling It's been rallied, it's been turboed, and it saved lives. This is everything you need to know to get up to speed on the Volvo 240. Jan Vilskard was studying design in Gothenburg. This kid had promise. So much so that Volvo plucked him right out of design school and got him to work right away. Kind of like how Donut scooped me right out of yelling about cars on the internet school. Long story short, the dude was good. Like, really good. During his tenure at Volvo, Jan had his hand in pretty much every model they put out. Daddy knows a thing or two about having his hand in models. Everything from the Amazon and the 140 to the Philip. They named the car Philip. And you guys won't let me make the Pumphrey? Fast forward to 1972. Jan and Volvo were working on their new Volvo Experimental Safety Car, or VESC. The concept featured pedestrian-safe bumpers, reinforced doors for side impact protection, crumple zones, and a backup camera in 1972. It was a big camera on the trunk with a bigger TV in the dash. Volvo was ahead of the safety game and they knew it. They had to get this tech onto the street and make the roads safer. Jan and Volvo gathered all of Sweden's greatest minds to design their next car. It was time to build the most iconic car that Volvo would bring into the world. It was time for the Volvo 240. Like the VESC, the new car would be boxy, just like my dad. The 200 series borrowed styling cues from the concept, and aside from the front, the body was basically the same as the 140. The 240's crumple zones were huge, and the back was designed to protect the fuel tank. If you crash, the engine mounts would send the engine and transmission under the floor to keep them out of your lap. The steering column would move out of the way. These things were so good that the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration was like, Volvo, we think these things are so safe, we'd like to use some as the standard that other cars are measured against. Yeah? Okay, then you can buy some. So Nitsa bought 24 Volvo 240s. Next up was the engine. Sweden's roads are twisty and narrow, and half the time they're covered in ice and snow. The 200 series didn't need to be some crazy fast Group B reject. It just had to get its passengers wherever they needed to go. Volvo 240s mostly had some version of a 2-ish liter 4-cylinder engine. Yes.
Why were they called red blocks?
The engines?
Why were they just called red blocks?
They were called red blocks because the engine blocks were red.
Oh, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
You're welcome, cutie. The first 240s were carbureted. You want to know how those work? Check out this episode of Science Garage. Had push rods and made less than 100 horsepower. I wasn't kidding when I said it didn't have to be fast. They switched to an overhead cam in 1976 and never looked back. To conform to the progressive emissions regulations in the United States, the 240 got fuel injection, but only over here. An oxygen sensor combined with fuel injection and a catalytic converter cleaned up 90% of the bad stuff coming out of the pooper. The engine even won an award from the notoriously strict California Air Resources Board. Volvo 240s were not only safe for the people in the cars, they even made the air safer for everyone outside of the car too. That's safe. During the 1970s gas crisis, Volvo offered a 2.4-liter inline-six diesel engine that they borrowed from their buddies over at VW. And those were so bulletproof that you can still find them putting around Louisville, Kentucky, running on used vegetable oil. Volvo wanted to make cars for people, which I know sounds obvious. What are they gonna make cars for dogs? But when the people needed a more fuel-friendly car, Volvo said,
"Your wish is my command."
But by 1980, the boys at Volvo were trying to change their image. They realized safety would only get them so far. So they had to start making their safe, slow 240s into safe, faster 240s. The designers were like, it's the 80s, and the Germans are making fast sedans. Yeah. So let's make a fast sedan with a turbo or something. Yeah, I like that idea.
Yeah,
me
too. Look, our factory also is a weight room. Let us celebrate by working on our muscles. Hookah, hookah.
Up, lift me. Let's do gymnastics. You threw me so high.
Hookah, hookah.
You are so strong.
Volvo Turbo.
Turbos were finally added to the lineup in 1981, giving us a new sport trim, the 240 GLT, where the T stands for turbo. Now that they were turbocharged and a little bit faster, they had to get the word out. And Volvo realized they need to test these bad boys on the track. To get the 240T into the Group A touring car class, Volvo Motorsport had to get a little sneaky. Rules stated they needed to build 500 homologation models to get into Class A. So Volvo fitted a bigger turbo and a bunch of other performance modifications. They streamlined the hoods a bit, and these race specials became known as flat hoods. But Volvo didn't have enough time to build them in Europe, so they threw all the race goodies into the trunks of the standard 240Ts and sent them to the US of A. 250 of their homologated cars were made on each of the US coasts, and all 500 were ready to be inspected in just 3 weeks. A US representative of the FIA approved the cars, and Volvo would get to go racing.
Throwing his Volvo 240 Turbo around with gay abandon.
They sent one car back to Europe to race in Group A touring, and the rest of the homologated 240s all stayed here in the States. But could Volvo's boxy, reliable cars handle themselves in a race? Yeah, they could! In its stock form, the 240 wasn't fast, but it was light and handled well. Make it a 350 horsepower version, and the 240 can run with the best of them. It ran in British touring car, European touring car, Australian touring car, and DTM championships. And it won a lot. But when the smoke had cleared and Volvo was on the podium, news broke about a little sneakiness that Volvo pulled during the homologation process. They were supposed to be 499 cool Volvo racers in the States, but there weren't. Turns out that as soon as the door hit the FIA inspector in his little butt, Volvo stripped the go fast parts off all but one car, the one that they sent back to Europe. Everybody was pretty ticked off that Volvo skirted the hardest part of the homologation process, selling a race car for the street to the public. But Volvo Motorsport was like, the rules only state that the cars need to be built and inspected, not sold. Hey man, don't hate the player, hate yourself for not being as clever as the player. And those other 499 240s were sold here with a bigger intercooler and the signature flat hood. These Volvos became the first batch of the 1983 240 turbo intercooler models, and they sold quite well thanks to the success of the 240 in racing abroad.
Volvo now in the lead and beginning to pull away.
When we talk about other cars that have been around for over 20 years, we say things like the second gen Camaro or the third generation Mustang, but not with the 240, no sir. Or ma'am. Other than minor changes to the lights and grille, there was one generation of Volvo 240 for 20 years. And the trim levels and special editions, L for Luxe, DL for Deluxe, GL for Grand Luxe, GLE for Grand Luxe Executive. They had so many trim levels, I can't even list them all for you. But they got so nuts with naming that the options in Scandinavia with a catalytic converter was called the Volvo 240 Catalysator. Why even put that on the car? If you like special editions, the 240s got something for you. Everything from long wheelbase limos and wagons for government and school bus duty to cop cars and hand-built Italian chop-top Bertoni coupes. Everyone who owned one of these cars absolutely loved it. As a result, Volvo built the 240 for 19 years and sold 2.8 million of them. And between 1990 and 1994, not one new 240 sedan driver died in a solo accident. Not one. Much like how Brendan Fraser didn't have a bad film within that same time period. Coincidence? I think not.
Whoa, whoa, hey, come on, guys. You don't sound too good, little buddy.
Oh, hey, Bart. Whoa, hey. Ah! What the hell is that?
Relax, James. This is a fixed OBT2 reader.
Was that thing in my body the whole time?
This connects wirelessly to your smartphone to read all the codes that your engine's giving you. Or in this fantasy situation, your body.
Whoa.
In fact, Fix is sponsoring this episode of Up to Speed.
Yeah, isn't Fixed offering Up to Speed fans 10% off of their order if they enter the code DONUT at checkout?
Yo! You are throwing a lot of codes, James. You gotta start drinking more water. Probably should get to sleep earlier.
Okay, thanks,
set your
Bart,
alarm.
and Fixed.
Gotta start working out. Maybe you should get a personal
All right,
trainer.
thanks,
and you
Bart, and Fixed. Volvo got so many letters and calls from owners thanking them for making cars that saved their lives. The PR boss, Bob Austin, got an idea.
Hey Greg, come in here, I got an idea. Sure, what's up, Bob? Volvo gets so many letters from the owners thanking us for making cars that save their lives. I think we should start a club. What should we call it, man? I'm thinking the Volvo Save My Life Club. Ooh, it's a little on the nose. You know what, Greg? You. I hope you get in a car wreck, but you don't make it into the club.
So Bob started the Volvo Save My Life Club in 1990 with members from all over the world united in their belief that if they had been driving any other car, they'd be dead. Top this all off with that crumple zone under the hood. Not only is there a ton of space to fit whatever engine you want, they're wheel drive. The body is pretty light and they handle surprisingly well. And with a reputation for slow, plodding safety, they're the perfect sleeper. Nobody expects to get their doors blown off by an old Volvo. Today, it's not uncommon to see 240s drag racing, drifting, rallying, road racing, even off-roading. It's not fast, it's not fancy, it's just an honest car.
Gucci.
Yo, I'm super excited to officially collaborate with Tabasco Sweet over at Super Deluxe on his new show, Cheap Thrills Boosted. We turned a truck into a Gucci flip-flop. If you like Swedish cars, watch this episode of Up to Speed. As always, click that subscribe button. I'm gonna go to the Gucci store.